Hi, it's Angela Torville and Mike Torville, your hosts of Get Moving, the real estate roadmap with the at-home team, where we're going to provide you with the education, tools, and unfiltered talk to keep you in the driver's seat. Thanks for joining. Hey, welcome back to Get Moving with myself, Angela Torville, my co-host Mike Torville, and today we have an awesome guest, Ricardo Perez from the Hamry Martin team with the Real Brokerage over in Agawam. How you doing, Ricky?
Angela, Mike, thanks for having me come out here today. I'm really excited to join you guys today.
Yeah, we're happy to
Glad
have you.
you're here.
Yeah. So, well, we like to always ask first and foremost, well, first of all, if you didn't pick it up, Ricky's a realtor.
Yeah, right? Yeah, what are we talking
with
about
Real
today, right?
Brokerage.
Right.
Yeah. So, I think most everyone in the real estate industry has a story on why they got here. No one went to college to get into real estate industry.
Probably
Mostly.
should. We'll talk about that. No,
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
So we like to just ask, what got you into real estate?
How much time do we got? Well, Mike and Angela, my journey to real estate was, I think, even from a child. I think so. I used to watch infomercials. I'm an '80s child, so I still
You're
had the
still
back
young,
end.
so
We know what
some might
commercials
consider
are.
you. Us older people might still consider you a child.
I know it's okay, but I think our generation might be the last generation where we still understood what it is to have
Yeah.
a rotary phone.
Okay.
And then we were able to get into the actual
Yeah.
cell phone era. So I think we got the best of both worlds. I still was riding my bike before the lights went out. Nowadays, kids don't really do that, right?
They don't go outside, I
But
don't think.
to make the long story short, I used to watch infomercials for people like, hey, if you want to buy real estate, no money down. And so I was always intrigued by that as a child. Like, real estate, right? And just to kind of really quickly here, in my community, I'm a Latino, so our community, we don't have a lot of people that say, hey, get into real estate.
Right.
We don't have that. It's just, most of us just go to work, we rent, and some of us may own a property here or there, but you don't hear a lot of entrepreneurship. So that's, I think, where it all started. As I got older, I had my child very young. So I was 18 years old when I had my first daughter.
Wow.
She's 21 this year.
Wait, what?
Yes.
I'm doing some math here.
So do the math. Yeah, I was
Both
18.
have 21-year-olds.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And so
All right,
I
I take back what I said earlier.
No, it's okay.
You're not young.
Yeah.
You're not
Still
still a
30.
kid.
I'm 40. I just turned 40 this
You
year.
have kids. You're not a kid. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess, I thought about it, but then it kind of just all went out the window
Yeah.
when I had my daughter.
Yeah.
And said, hey, I got to provide, I got to work. So I ended up doing a couple jobs, going to trade school, not liking the trade that I was in, very demanding. And
What was the trade?
I used to did refrigeration, so
Oh,
air
okay.
conditioned refrigeration down in South Florida, because that's where I'm from.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
when you said humidity, I'm like, oh, geez, this is nothing.
This
This,
is
feels great.
beautiful.
This feels
Yeah.
like a grab. So long story short, started doing that, got out of that, and then decided to hey, let me try a corporate job. So I ended up with the utility company down in South Florida, and I worked there for 13 years. I thought that's where I was going to be. I thought
Yeah,
that's
those
where I
are
was gonna
jobs
end.
you stay at. Yeah.
High school dropout, making close to 60 grand, comfortable job, 7 to 3, just
Benefits.
beautiful
Yeah.
Oh, benefits were
Retirement.
amazing.
That's what
Retirement,
keeps you there
healthcare.
sometimes. Yeah.
Safety.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
safety for sure.
And then from there, I started getting into a couple books, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yep. Classic.
And then I think that just kind of reeled me in, and then started listening to podcasts. Bigger Pockets was a big part
Bigger
of my
Pockets.
days.
Okay.
And first, initially, was thinking about more just entrepreneurship, owning rentals, flipping houses.
Mhm.
So that was where my space was at. And then South Florida is just a very interesting market. So me and my wife wanted a little bit of a change. And my wife's from the Western Mass area, from Springfield originally.
Okay.
And so I saw the prices up here. And I'm like, like 400,000 versus 150,000.
Yeah.
So let me do the math here. So we did a little bit of research and just thought about coming up here, and I've been here for 5 years. Started doing investing first, bought a couple rentals, did a couple flips. I know we can go into that if
Yeah.
you want. And then decided to get my real estate license just to have it, because most investors, I just do it because I don't want to pay a realtor to do your thing. And then I really figured throughout the course that I didn't like being a landlord, just not my thing. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? So I was doing a couple of deals, and sure enough, I think about 2 years ago, I just decided, you know what? I think I like being a realtor the best. That's just me. I like helping people. And yeah, that's my journey, and it's just been the last year and a half, 2 years.
But you know what's nice about your experience is you see it from all those
Mike.
perspectives.
Yeah.
From buying, from being a buyer, from
Yeah.
flipping, or being a landlord, and so on. So you know what those people go through.
Yes.
I think that's very helpful as a realtor to
Yes.
have that understanding and that background.
Yeah, if I could elaborate on that,
Yeah.
that's I think one of my main reasons why I do it, because and I think that's why one of my biggest things is communication, because I know what it looks like when I moved here.
Yeah.
I was on pins and needles. I was living with my brother-in-law. We're staying in a room. Again, we're buying a house.
Your wife, your daughter.
Just got a bunch of stuff, and we finally, it was a little bit after COVID, but market was still crazy. I was still in that space where lines were around the corner
That
to
was
get
a
inside.
tough market to jump into.
And I got into that one, and I know what it feels like to be like, I got an offer accepted finally, and then now what? What's
Right,
happening?
you're
What's
on your
going
own.
on? Every day you're thinking what's happening. So yeah, Mike, to your point, it's just it's the fear. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and buying multifamilies based because of pricing and affordability is a huge thing. A lot of first-time home buyers are trying to jump into because they're hearing getting into real estate. A lot of people think the American dream is sort of dead. I'm hearing that a lot with that 30-year-old age group, whatever the generation they are. But it's not dead. But I think you need the right people. You need the right team to have the foresight for you, right? And so you have the experience. So do you find, obviously it sounds like you give that education to your buyers that are maybe jumping into investing or first time owning a home and being a landlord at the same time.
Yeah.
So what's the, if you could give one thing to anybody listening right now, if they're a first time buyer, they've rented their whole life or they haven't rented at all. They live with mom and dad.
Yeah, right.
And they want to go buy a fourplex. What's the one thing? Like, if there's just only one, maybe two if you need. I know there's more than one.
Oh,
but,
there's. There's so many. For a while
yeah,
here,
we can do a
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
consult. Well, we can do consultations later, right? But because I know what I want them to consider. But what would you, what's the first question you ask them when they say, "Hey, I've never owned, but I want a multifamily. I want 4 units."
Well, since they've never owned, I think the question, "Have you ever been a landlord?" is irrelevant because they haven't, because
Correct.
they never owned. I would tell them to get really educated in that aspect of it and understanding what it really means to be a landlord. You're actually holding people's lives, where they live, which is, their sacred place. So, they want a place that is clean, safe, they want somewhere where they could call home. So I think it's important to really understand. And again, I think you made a key point. I think one thing I would say to them is have a team.
Yeah.
What I mean by
yeah.
that is, again, if you don't want to deal with the day-to-day actions, have a good property manager, which again is difficult to find. But if you find the right property manager, find the right, you would say, attorney in case, God forbid, have to do a eviction, which is unfortunate.
Or help you get those leases written
Exactly,
properly.
get them done right.
Yeah.
And then again, very importantly, if you don't want to be changing light bulbs and stuff, have a good handyman, someone that's able to come out. Hey, in an hour, a couple hours notice, hey, the toilet's clogged up, or the light switch is not working, and have someone there. So I think the thing I would say to them is really educate yourself and try to build yourself a little team around you. It doesn't matter if you just own one unit or one complex, but again, to have a core around you. I think that's one thing I would tell them.
One additional thing, I'll throw it in, is learning how to properly vet your applicants. Don't be reaction and say, "Oh, good, we have somebody." Take your time.
Yes.
Check the credit, check references, etc.
Yeah.
Because that's so critical. Getting the wrong applicant as a result of being hasty
For sure.
can be severely consequential.
I agree with you that, and I've dealt with it on my own level when you're getting in and you just don't realize, hey, who you're renting to, and again, sometimes you get. Again, depending on your personality, if you're a very personable person, somebody's story can impact you, and you hear a lot of sob stories. Just I'm a mom, single mom, blah blah blah, and then you just fall into that without looking at it as a business. Unfortunately,
I've been manipulated in the past, and I use that word. I use that word because
that's why I chuckled when you brought it up.
Yes,
because
the story.
It was an amazing referral that Mike got for a tenant. It was someone you would have trusted all day
long. It was a neighbor of mine.
Yeah, and it just
those are the hard ones.
Went sideways.
It went sideways south and
around
down and around that. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to change the topic, but I want to like segue off the buyer and more into, thinking about your story where you were impacted as a child by commercials. So it was always a seed planted in your brain.
For sure.
And, I always say you got to see it before you get it, right?
Yeah.
So, there's, I think the income levels around here are tough for these 20, 30-year-old kids. And they're they have a different mindset. The 9-to-5 chain is something I think a lot of that age group wants to break. Yeah. And so we have a lot of them jumping into the realtor seat, right? And so, if they're working with, because incomes it's hard right now, right? And so you have unlimited potential in this industry, but it doesn't just get handed to you. You have to work for it. So when you're a newer agent and you don't have the hindsight like you have of being a landlord, but you have a client in front of you that wants to work with you, you got referred very strongly from someone they know, whatever, and you need to guide them. What would you do if it was your first rodeo? What advice would you give to that newer agent if they're in that situation to still serve the client properly?
Yeah.
But learn as they go too, because that's the only way you learn in this industry is doing.
Anything with real estate, I tell people like there's no guidebook, there's no handbook to it. It's trial by fire. Just whether you're an agent, whether you're a landlord, whatever you're doing, you kind of get into it and you just got to go. But
fail forward. Yes, my favorite term.
Yeah. That's basically what it is. Yeah. So I guess the question you're asking is what advice I would give to a new agent.
If you're mentoring.
Yeah. What I would probably say is treat this as a 9-to-5. I think a lot of times we get sold. I don't know if that's the right word, but we get told marketed. That it's marketed like, oh, freedom. You could do what you want when you want. Schedule. Make your own schedule, which I think someone that's coming from the corporate world, it could be dangerous because what I mean by that in the corporate setting or in any setting, you have you're here from X time to X time. And you can't tell your boss, I'm leaving 2 hours in because my uncle called me because I need to help him move a sofa, which has happened to me.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Or somebody, hey, you don't really do nothing, right? Can you take me here?
Or your kid calls. They have a headache.
Right?
At school,
and it's so you're your own boss, but the problem is that if you don't have the discipline to stay within your structure, you could really go down a dark path in the sense of you don't know what you're doing, what you're supposed to be doing. You'll be thinking you're being productive, but all you're really doing is just being busy, but you're not creating business. Right. So I think one of the major things I would say is to create yourself a structure, a schedule, and we could go into depth if you wanted to about what that even means. But yeah, that's one thing I would say to them for sure.
And it's a different mindset too, because I had a pretty structured career before I was working in the hospital. And I had every made decent money, all the benefits, everything was structured, set, secure.
Paycheck every 2 weeks, right?
Everything's just very relaxed.
You give effort or don't, you're getting money.
And by the way, I knew exactly what I was going to earn the following year because it was a structured raise schedule, et cetera, et cetera. So when I dove into this too, I made a lot less money initially, and it was scary. And then, but when I got into it, and you're sort of your own boss, right?
For sure.
Even in the mortgage business, and a couple of people, and I had developed a client list, and they said, so isn't it nice having being your own boss? I said, wait a second, look at my client list. I have 35 bosses. I have 30 instead of one. Now I have 35 to pay attention to.
Yes.
And it's a whole different mindset, right?
Yes.
Because now you're paying attention, and when they say something, you got to respond.
Yeah.
You need to. So it's a different mentality entirely.
Yeah, it's risky.
It is.
If you're not self-motivating, you have to know yourself. You have to look inside and go, what triggers me? What makes what? It's a mindset game. There's days when I wake up and I'm like, I don't care if anyone likes me today.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care, but it doesn't matter. I got to get out there, so you shake it off and but whatever. It's a mental game. So, and I, just going to go back to like you being on a team.
For sure.
They say the 5 people you surround yourself with are who you are. That's the opportunities you have through them, right? So there's the power of mentorship and team.
For sure.
So would you say on a newer realtor, maybe they get less commission if they're on a team and things, but would you say that that's a good approach after deep diving into themselves and knowing, are they going to go get it no matter what their brain is telling them, or do they need a lean back?
That's a great question. So I think that the answer would be depending on, like you said, if you're a very self-driven individual. If you're self-driven, then an independent agent, definitely a way you could go, because you don't need anybody kind of keeping you within guardrails. But if you're someone that like, hey, and also your personality. I'm a team guy. I like being on a team.
I thrive with people.
Me too. I like being around people, motivating each other, because we're all gonna have good days and we're gonna have bad days.
And they can keep you accountable too.
100%. And in this business, it could be is just as much as like the mortgage business. It can be very lonely.
Oh
because you're your own. Definitely. Most of us, if you don't have a brick and mortar office, if you're if you have a brokerage that's like a cloud-based brokerage, you're stuck at home, or if you want to rent a space, but it could get very lonely, and then you get in your head, and I think that's where the dangerous part becomes.
Correct.
If I'm making enough, these clients are driving me, things might be going sideways. So I think for somebody that,
or I got told no 20 times today,
or 100 times,
100 out of my 101 attempts.
Yes, which happens.
That's mental strength for sure. Getting back up after
so
that,
I would just depends on whether or not if you are self-driven. If you are, you could definitely go solo. But if you like team, if you're like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing and I want to learn from somebody, then I think a team setting would probably be the best for them.
Yeah.
Mike, you read a lot.
Yeah.
You write books and stuff.
I read too much. But anyway,
and maybe the answer is no. I don't know. I'm just actually curious. Do you know, or you too, Ricky, are there any books that someone can pick up and read to help them self-develop? What kind of motivation? Many. Is one come to your head?
And some, in my opinion, there are some, you can go to the Tony Robbins type thing.
Yeah,
you can go to Brian Tracy type things, and you can do all kinds of books like that. There's all kinds of, and see what resonates with. Try a few, because sometimes this one person will click, like it might, like a commercial click. Something just plants in your brain, and I think that's certainly helpful. It's been helpful to me to learn, and also they find a way to give you encouragement.
For sure.
You know what book
Optimism.
you made me read, and we always laugh.
Oh,
I actually have a great picture.
Yeah.
So my kids were teenagers, but it was How to Win Friends, or
Dale Carnegie, another one, and probably the oldest, the one who kick-started the whole thing.
Oh yeah, and so How to
Carnegie.
Win Friends and influence people.
And
I'm sitting there reading on the couch, and the kids are going, "Why are you reading a book about how to make friends? That's so stupid, Mom."
You're pretty good
and
at
I'm like,
it.
you have no idea. You don't know anything.
The difficulties of it, right?
But that was a good book for me.
It
that
sure
really
is,
made me realize, it's not about me.
Right.
Right? I'm super self-motivated and no one pushes me harder. I've paid many coaches, and no one's going to hold me more accountable than me.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when you read that book, you realize that doesn't even matter when you're connecting with someone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I highly recommend getting started to read, because it gives you a perspective that coaches may not have, or different people might not have, and it's always very helpful. That's a good start.
Yeah.
I love reading that one, and Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. I always recommend, because in this industry, it is not instant gratification. You don't see results you may get lucky. You might
be the one in a million to get that right away.
I've been pretty lucky.
And I think there's a couple things when we were talking about, the things you may not be prepared for, whether it's in the mortgage or real estate. There's two things that you have to wow, I didn't realize this part of it was going to be so hard. One is rejection. Because you're not always going to get the clients that you think you get, and you're going to spend time with clients that don't ever consummate. So you spend a lot of time without the pay. Yes. And that's the other aspect of the job. So some people say, oh, wow, you got a great commission on that house, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yes, I did, but you don't know about the other 10 people.
The other 10 people
that I got zero for, that I spent an immense amount of time with. So there's that rejection and that ability to work through that. And the other is when a client asks you for something unreasonable, or you have to give bad news to people, the ability to give bad news, the ability to say, no, I can't do this, or you're not approved. And the ability, that's hard to do, because they trusted you to do it, and you just can't do it.
Can I elaborate on that?
Sure.
Well, let me give you my 3 books.
Yes, please.
So my 3 books is, at least for me, my faith is very big. So the Bible is very big for me. Okay. It gives me truth. It sets me grounded. It teaches me my boundaries. Like you said, I'm not the universe.
Right.
That's number 1 for me. 2 is Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, and which we'll talk on what you just said here in a moment. And 3rd is Eat That Frog.
Oh yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Eat That Frog is basically a book where it's like we dread doing the most hardest thing first thing. And for me, my way of doing business is cold calling. So I dread it.
Oh, it's awful.
So I said, this is my frog. This is what I have to eat.
Okay.
So I'm going to do this first thing in the morning. And again, am I perfect at it? No. But again, I'm working towards that and doing that every day. But so are my 3 books. But Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. He was an FBI negotiator. And
Oh, yeah, I heard about this book.
he has really transformed my way that I communicate, because it uses something called tactical empathy. And basically what we're doing is just how, like you just said, when you got to give those phone calls. So, for example, if I got to give bad news to somebody, the first thing I'm going to say to them is just say, hey, I have bad news. And what it does psychologically, what we do is when someone says you have bad news, a doctor calls you, a lawyer calls you, somebody calls you. When they say bad news, it's worst case scenario for most of us. That's just the way our human brains. Worst case. So a lot of times when you're setting them up for bad news, or it might not be that, they may say, oh, it's not that bad. So you're kind of communicating, and there's a lot of tactical empathy. So you're doing a lot of labeling emotions. You're doing mirroring, not mirroring physical thing, but you're mirroring
emotions,
their words,
language,
right. Words. So that has been very critical and very helpful for me. And if I could give one thing to a realtor out there, is learn how to communicate, because I didn't know how to. I think most of us don't.
And you might not be aware of it. You might think you know how to communicate.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and communicating is not a one-way street. It depends, like you said, who you're dealing with. So you have to have you have to have intuition. You have to have empathy. You have to be able to read that person inside, right? Like, and know. And that's one thing. You have to be conscious, right? 100%. You can't just go, this is bad news. I'm going to say, hey, this is bad news. This is what it is, you know? And then leave it there. You have to know. And for me, when I have bad news, I usually always try to give something good at the end. A solution.
Absolutely.
You know, like really guidance, solution. It's like, it's never no. It's just like, this isn't going to work, but here's what we have to do. And that is my options. That's my formula.
You have to counter that with a little bit of call it optimism, encouragement, or something good. For example, if you say, we cannot approve your loan today. Here's why. But here's the good news. Within 6-8 months, maybe a year, if we follow this plan, I think we'll get you there
for sure.
And so you have that to say, oh, okay, you provide a little encouragement.
You find a solution, some sort of solution.
But what it does, because what do we do when we have bad news? We freak out.
Yes,
we don't want to deliver it.
Right. No.
So then what happens? And this is a muscle you have to build. If you don't have the muscle, you react emotionally because it matters. It's your paycheck, it's your livelihood, right? So when you create a solution or a plan or a path after the no, before you make that call, you have more intention. You've thought about it. You created this whole thing. So when you're delivering the news, it's not as hard. If you didn't have those solutions and that step, it's hard, but it's not as bad.
But the anticipation of doing it, the anxiety prior to the call,
you take it out.
Hardly ever warrants the result, because in other words, you're all nervous, you're a wreck. I've had to fire people, I've had to let people go, lay people off.
You're not sleeping at night,
and it might not be their fault. They might be, but I had to lay. And I remember, you're right. Don't sleep at night. The anxiety, and then once you tell him, and people so often don't take the news as hard as you expected.
You think so, right? You think it's going to be screaming, and just, you're like, that didn't end up. But I think that's the beauty of having to go through it. And you feel so much
better because you say, wow, okay.
Well, you become a leader to them.
Yes.
You're leading them.
And I think after you've gone through that a couple times, and you could kind of reflect every time, oh, that wasn't that bad. So the next time, hey, remember what happened last time? You think it's going to be worst case scenario. No, it's not. One thing that's helped me, at least for me, in regards to trying to reduce that anxiety is I tell myself when I wake up, I don't think of business until this time.
Yes.
I don't start here. I start here. Just like I would in a corporate job. Corporate job, most of the time you check out, jobs left out there, and you're onto your life. So I try to do that. So at least for me, I try to cut off my phone at 7:00 at night. I have an auto reply text that says, hey, you've reached me out of business hours. Because if you call a doctor, if you call an attorney at 8:00 at night, they're not answering your phone. They're like, hey, unless it's a real big emergency. So I'm trying to set up, and I would recommend to most realtors or anybody within that business, try to, from the beginning, and I know it's hard because you're kind of going on that famine. I need to hunt. I'm
going to miss an opportunity.
That's a scarcity mindset, right?
Attract, don't chase.
So yes, I'm trying to attract people. So when I speak to them, I'm not telling them, oh, please let me come to your house so I can list your home. I try to push away. Are you sure? Do you really want to talk to me? I want them to tell me, no, I do. I want you to come to my house. I want to talk with you.
And I'm assuming that if they text you and say, I have an emergency, I need... you'll weigh that and probably call it back.
Well, it depends. Can I give you guys a quick crazy story?
Yeah.
So I had a listing where it was a gentleman that I cold called. We built a great relationship. We're still friends to this day. He lives in Brazil now.
Cool.
He had a very difficult battle with cancer. He's, from my understanding, survived it now, living in Brazil now. And I listed a multifamily for him. It was definitely an interesting listing. We got it under contract. And the buyer, it was an FHA loan, so there was some things that needed to be fixed. Mm-hmm. So the buyer was like, hey, I'll fix them. Like, I'll do the painting, I'll do all that. Yeah. So the buyer ended up putting some capital into this property.
Prior to
closing. Yeah. He was willing to do it.
Yeah.
And
not uncommon.
Yeah. Yep. And just about the day before, I met the appraiser again there to check off the boxes. Okay, everything's good. We're good. So we're supposed to close within the next couple days. So I'm feeling good. Like you said, you feel confident now. Yeah. All right, we're almost there to the closing table. I remember it was a baby shower and my wife's family. And, I had a cocktail, I was relaxing, having a good time.
Clock.
Oh, just feeling good, closing, check coming in. And all of a sudden, that call comes in at 8 o'clock at night from Roger. Well, name is Roger, by the way. And I'm like, why is he calling me at 8 o'clock at night? Oh. Like you said, you don't call me normally this late. I pick up the call, and all I hear is, it's on fire. And I'm like, it's on fire? Yeah. What are you talking about? Roger, what are you talking about? The building's on fire. The multifamily that is supposed to close in a couple days is on fire. Oh. Now, Roger's recovering. It wasn't
just a metaphor. It was really on fire.
It was on fire. Now, Roger's recovering from his surgery, so he's immobile.
Oh, my gosh.
And he's flipping out on the phone, and I'm like, okay, take a deep breath. Roger, I'll drive over there. And I tell you, luckily it was only a couple minutes away from where I'm at. Well, that's Western Mass. You can get there 12 minutes every time you say 12 minutes away. But nevertheless, I pull up, and as I'm driving there, there's like 7 fireman trucks. There's ambulances. There's people on the side screaming. And I just get there, and I'm like, wow. And it's ablaze. Not like it was a little fire.
It was a big.
It was like a light box, like a matchbox on fire. And long story short, what ended up happening was the second floor tenant, who is supposed to be evicted, by the way. Again, we were talking about that, right? Mm-hmm. She decided to do a barbecue on the second floor balcony and leave it unattended for a few minutes.
Oh boy! Okay.
And I will tell you this, again, my faith is very strong for me, and I know there was a reason. Just about a couple weeks before there were third floor tenants, were 2 young girls, and they ended up moving out the week before.
Oh, boy. Wow. Okay.
And if I could tell you,
goosebumps like right now.
that third floor was gone. Wow. That third floor was gone. So, again, I got a little emotional at that moment because I'm like, man, if they were there, what could have been? But they were gone. Yeah. So thank God.
As bad as it was.
Yes.
Could be far worse. Right?
And so deal fell apart. Yeah. The buyer lost all his money that he put into it because we can't.
There was no way to recover it.
No, no, because once you said, hey, I'm going to pay for
that's
it.
the risk you take.
That's your chance. That's what you're doing. Your gamble. And so it ended up happening. We went through a couple months. Everybody had to be removed. Yeah. I helped them again, like you said, learning by fire. Getting insurance adjusters involved, reaching out to insurance adjusters.
Right, because your client's recovering from cancer, and surgery.
So,
Wow.
So he ended up selling it. He ends up winning at the back end because of the insurance money. Right. But it was a process. And, it was this. That's what I'm saying. This business is very personable. You have to understand that you got people's livelihood in your hand.
Yes.
And this is kind of, if not one of the biggest purchases they will do in their lives.
It is. And with that comes the anxiety, the uncertainty, and every day, what's going on? What's changed? I don't hear from the realtor. I didn't hear from the mortgage person. And by the time they get in touch with you, it could be a little bit on edge.
So I have a rule, Mike. Yeah. I tell my clients I will reach out to you once a week, regardless.
Regardless.
We will check in.
At the very least.
Once a week. Yeah. And I'll tell you, hey, we got nothing going on. but you will hear from me once a week. If you hear from me prior, it's because something has changed.
But at least things are in motion.
Yes.
So if you call me on Monday and not Tuesday, I'm worried.
Yeah. At least things are. It's good. That's kind of
great
reassurance,
communication.
and that's what it is.
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
reassuring and preempting the anxiety.
Yes.
Okay, he's got my back.
Yeah.
You know.
And as for realtor, for your anxiety, which kind of I'm working with, is I can't control everything.
Correct.
Yeah.
I am the liaison between the lender, the attorney, everybody, but I can't do everybody's job. And I could just focus on what I can control.
And do your
That's
job
it.
well.
Yes.
And have the trust that you've built up. Ricardo, and I hate to, we're starting to run out of time. We could go on. I love the
we
stories.
could go on for hours,
because I know
guys.
you got another good story.
We
got a
are
couple
going to
of
do a
stories.
take two, and I apologize because I have to run. But
No worries, we do all.
People want to get in touch with you. How do they do that?
So yeah, the best way to get in contact with me as of right now, I don't do social media right now. I kind of took a break from that. But you could reach me at my cell phone number, which is 413-337-7330. Or you can email me at rptheagent altogether at gmail.com. Again, any questions, you can always reach out.
rptheagent@gmail.com.
Yes, sir. Reach out to me.
And we will be reaching out to you.
Okay. All right.
Certainly.
I enjoyed this. I really
Yeah,
did.
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you
Well,
so
it's fun,
much.
and I know we could talk, and we will. We will have you
Yes.
back because I know there's certain things we want to talk about. What buyers can be prepared for
Yes.
buyers or sellers to be prepared for. What could possibly go wrong, and how do we preempt that? How do we avoid mistakes? Things
yeah.
like that. I think we'll get into.
I think we
more.
go on a long conversation about that, Mike.
We'll do a
Definitely
few.
can. Yes.
Yes. Well, all right. Hey, it's great to see you. It's
you.
great to have you on, Angela. We're going to wrap up here. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Get Moving. We'll see you real soon. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.